Hello everyone. This particular video is a requested video. I am Malala. So this particular chapter is taken from the memoirs of Malala. That means whatever incidents had occurred in her life, whatever she had gone through, all the tragedies that she had passed through, and whatever she can recollect and remember, that all those incidents have been recorded as a memoir, and this particular extract or chapter has been taken from that very memoir of Malala. So Malala Yousafzai, I think most of you know that she was a very brave girl who belonged or who stayed in the Swat Valley of Pakistan. So she is a Pakistani girl, and she fought for the education of women because the Talibans didn't allow the girls to go to school. So she was an activist. She was an activist of women education, and she fought for the rights of women, especially in the field. Is even the youngest person to get the Nobel Peace Prize. Okay, so in the year 2014, she even received the Nobel Peace Prize because she fought for the education of girls and for the right to education of the girls. So she did this, and for her achievement, she received the Nobel Peace Prize. So this particular extract, this particular chapter is all about Malala Yousafzai. So in this particular video, I'm not going to cover the entire chapter of but I'm going to cover only a portion of the chapter. So in the other videos, I'll be teaching you the other portions of the chapter, but in this particular video I'll be doing only a certain portion of the chapter. So let us learn about this activist. Okay, a girl with real power, real bravery, and that is none other than Malala Yousafzai. So let's see what acts of bravery and courage she displayed while fighting with the Taliban. So despite that, nothing could stop her from getting educated and fighting for the education of girls. So let's see what all she went through in her life. Alright, so I am Malala. It was school that kept me going in those dark days. So as I've already told you, they were having a very tough time in Pakistan because the Taliban had prevented the girls from going to school. So it was only school that really kept her going through those dark days. Right? So they were facing a really tough time and a troublesome time. So it was only school that really gave her a ray of hope to live her life, because Malala Yousafzai really wanted to get educated and do something with her life. So it was only school that kept her going in those dark days. When I was in the street, it felt as though every man I passed might be a Talib. So what happened was, when she went out in the streets, she felt that every man in the street might be a Talib, might be a Taliban. She felt that way. She had so much of fear. So she felt that every person whom I met on the street might be a Taliban. She always felt that. She had that in her mind. So her mind was never peaceful. Anyways, what kept her going was the fact that she was going to school. So that was the only thing that kept her going. We had our school bags and our books in our shorts. So what they did was, they hid their books under the shorts. Okay, and also the school bags under the shorts. So that the Taliban might not see them, what they did was, they hid the books and the bag under the shawl. so that nobody would be able to see them and would think that they are going to school, especially the Talibans. My father always said that the most beautiful thing in the village is the sight of a child in a school uniform. But now we were afraid to wear them. So Malala's father always said that the most beautiful sight that could be seen in the Swat Valley in the morning especially was to see the girls going to school wearing their school uniform. But then Malala Yousafzai and the other girls, they were scared to wear them, because if they are found out by the Talibans wearing the school uniform and going to school, they would be immediately tortured and killed. So that is why now they felt scared even to wear their school uniform. So this was the situation that prevailed in the Swat Valley, and that was how Malala Yousafzai had to face all the dread and fear of the Talibans. So these girls were so scared to wear even their school uniforms because they felt that the Talibans would come and torture them and kill them. Okay, so that's why they didn't wear the school uniform. We had moved up to high school, so they had already reached the high school. Madam Mariam said that no one wanted to teach our class as we asked so many questions. We like to be known as clever girls. So Madam Mariam of the school said that nobody wants to teach their class because these girls had a volley of questions. They asked so many questions because they wanted to be known as clever girls. So that's why, to show their intelligence and to prove that they are very clever and intelligent, they always ask too many questions. So none of the teachers wanted to come to their classroom in order to teach them. Okay, so this was what was told by Madam Mariam to Malala, that nobody wants to teach them because they ask several questions to the teachers. When we decorated our hands with henna for holidays and weddings, we drew calculus and chemical formulae instead of flowers and butterflies. So much was the zeal to study, the enthusiasm to study, that when they made all these mehndi designs in their hands during holidays and weddings, they did not draw the flowers or the other beautiful designs which the women usually make on their hands with the mehndi. So what they did was, they made calculus, they made the formulae and all, they wrote there in their hands with the mehndi. So that really shows that they were keen and eager to study. So that's why instead of making the flowers and other beautiful designs in their hands with the mehndi, they made the calculus and they wrote the mathematical formula. Okay, so this is how these girls were. So they really had a great interest in studying and going to school, and they were being deprived of this. They were asked not to study, but quietly, silently, they were still attending the school in order to get educated, in order to gain education and to really become somebody of importance in life, and which the Taliban did not like. Okay, but this is how the girls were. So now what happened? My rivalry with Malka-e-Noor continued. So there was a girl in her class, Malka-e-Noor, and with her the rivalry continued. So rivalry means having a competition with somebody for something. It could be in games, it could be in studies, it could be in other co-curricular activities or whatever it is. So that rivalry continued. Okay, so Malala and this girl Malka-e-Noor, they really had a tough competition. But after the shock of being beaten by her when she first joined our school, I worked hard and had managed to regain my position on the school honors board for first in class. So what happened is, now at first she was beaten by this girl, her rival. Okay, so this Malala, after being beaten by her in the exams, what she did was she really worked hard and she regained her position back, and that position of being first in the class. So she regained that position back again because she worked really hard for it. So Malala stood first. She usually came second and Moniba third. So after that, Malala started coming first all the time in the class. She stood second and Moniba came third. The teachers told us examiners first looked at how much we had written, then presentation. So the teachers always told them that the examiners would first look at how much they had written, the content, and then only they would look at the presentation. So first the content, then the presentation. This is how they judged the students in the school there. Moniba had the most beautiful writing and presentation, alright, of the three of us. So she had a very good handwriting. She presented her work very well. So among this Moniba, Malala and Malka, this girl had a very good handwriting, right? And she really presented her work very well. But I always told her she did not trust herself enough. So Moniba had the most beautiful handwriting and she really presented her work well, but she had no trust in herself. And Malala always told Moniba that you have no trust in yourself. That's why you cannot stand first. She worked hard and she worried that if she got low marks, her male relatives might use it as an excuse to stop her education. So Moniba said that if supposing that marks is not gained by her, the topmost position and the marks is not gained by her, then what would happen? Her male friends and counterparts might tell her to stop her education because she could not compete with them. Right? So what is said is, she worried if she got low marks, her relatives might use it as an excuse to stop her education. So Moniba always felt that if she got less marks, then what would happen is her male relatives would stop her from going to school, would stop her education. I was weakest in maths. Once I got a 0 in test, but I worked hard at it. So Malala was very weak in maths. Once she even got a 0, and after that she started working really hard for it. So this is how the three girls competed with one another, Malala, Maniba and Malka. Okay, and Malala Yousafzai, among them she was the best because she used to top the class, but Malka also was not less because at first she had beaten Malala in studies. And Manba, though she was good, presentation, handwriting, excellent, but she had sort of lost her confidence. She had no trust in herself. But she knew that if she did not work hard, then her male relatives would tell her to stop studying. So that's why she had to go on with her studies and she had to prove herself. I like to mimic people. So Malala always liked to mimic people. Mimic means, just take out the voices of people or just act like those people, almost exact like those people. She always liked to do mimicry. So Malala, she liked doing that. And in my breaks, my friends used to beg me to impersonate our teachers, particularly Sir Obaidullah. So during the break times and all, the friends of Malala used to tell her to mimic the teachers, especially Sir Obaidullah. So they used to tell her, act like Sir Obaidullah, act like him and mimic him. Okay, so they used to really pressurize her and she used to do all this kind of mimicry, especially of the teachers. With all the bad stuff going on in those days, we needed small reasons to laugh. So they had so much of tensions in their mind. Okay, and when they were in school, they really needed some reasons to laugh. That's why she did all this mimicry and all, and she entertained her friends and she entertained herself also, and she became happy. Otherwise, the situation that was going around was so tense that they could hardly get a chance to smile and to laugh. And all the more, the fear of getting caught by the Talibans, okay, they having come to know that they are attending schools, all this tension and fear was going on. So somehow they needed some time to laugh. So this is what happened. The army action at the end of 2007 had not got rid of the Taliban. So even the armies could not do anything, and they had not got rid of the Taliban. The army had stayed in Swat and were everywhere in the town. Yet Fazlullah still broadcast every day on the radio, and throughout 2008 the situation was even worse than before, with bomb blast and killings. So what happened was the army had stayed in the Swat village, yet Fazlullah always used to broadcast in the on the radio. So give some news and information on the radio every time, and throughout 2008 the situation was even worse than before, with bomb blast, killing and all these things going on. So that's why, with the tense kind of situation, Malala and all the girls and all the women in that particular valley was having a very tough time in going to school and getting themselves educated, okay, because of all these warnings given by them, by the Talibans, every time broadcasting on the radio, and bombings, killings, massacre everywhere. So they really had a tough time. So this is how they were still running their lives. All we talked about in those days was the army and the Taliban, and the feeling that we were caught between the two. So they only used to talk about army, Taliban, and how these people were caught between the two. Army one side and Taliban on the other side. So this is how these people were caught in between. One side army, one side Taliban, and they are sandwiched in between. So they don't know what to do, whether to listen to them or to listen to the others. So they were just in between, sandwiched in between. Athiya used to tease me by saying, Taliban is good, army not good. So Athiya used to tease her by saying, Taliban is good, army is not good. I replied, if there is snake and a lion coming to attack us, what would we say? Is good, the snake or the lion? So then she used to tell a friend, then if a snake comes to attack us or a lion comes to attack us, then what would we say is good, the snake or the lion? Our school was a heaven from the horrors outside. So when they went to school, then they forgot everything. It was like heaven for them. Okay, from all the tensions and all, they used to get peace there in the school. So the school was just like heaven for them. When they came to school, then they forgot about everything, with the friends and laughing and mingling with each other and all this, they forgot everything. But once they came out of school, again the same bombing, the same killing, the same tension, all these things going on, okay, in the Swat Valley. And when they went to school, it was just like heaven for them. They felt as if they had come to heaven. No tensions, nothing was there. So all the small teasings and small fights and the quarrels and all this mimicry going on in the school, they really had a good time in the school. Competition going on between the friends and all. And school was just like heaven for them compared to the world that was waiting for them outside the school. It was really very, very tense. All the other girls in my class wanted to be doctors, but I decided I want to be an inventor and make an anti-Taliban machine which would sniff them out and destroy their guns. So all the girls in her class said that they wanted to become doctors, but Malala said, I want to become an inventor and invent such a machine which would kill all the Talibans. That is the machine that is anti-Taliban, and that would just finish them off in one go. I want to invent such a machine. So the Talibans really had given them a lot of problems. They were really a matter of concern for them. So that's why Malala said she wanted to be an inventor and she really wanted to just finish off the Talibans with a machine that she would invent. So this was her wish, whereas all her friends wanted to become doctors. But of course, at school we were under threat too, and some of my friends dropped out. But in school also they were not free. There was a threat, and some of her friends dropped out of school. So that also happened. Okay, so if you happen to see a documentary in Malala, then you would see that these girls, they went to school, but the classrooms were in such a place, okay, where you would literally have to go underground and then attend the classes there, and you literally had to get down somewhere, go inside, and there you had to attend the classes, so that nobody would know that you are attending classes and you are getting education there. Because if the Talibans would come there and find out, they would be shot immediately. So in school also they had that fear. It's not that they were completely free of that fear. They had some fear. Okay, so that's why they always hid themselves and they studied. So as I told you, you have to go down, and it's almost like an underground school there. You go there inside, somewhere deep inside, and you study there. It's not like you students where you get a chance to go to school every day and you don't have to hide yourself from anybody. In fact, you become proud that you're going to school, and to a good school. Okay, you don't have to fear anybody. You are very proud to go to school. You become very happy when you go to school. But Malala's life was not of that kind. She really had to fear, and all the girls, not only Malala, all the girls had to fear for their life even in the school. So a lot of terror even in the school. So Fazlullah kept broadcasting that girls should stay at home, and his men had started blowing up schools, usually during nighttime curfew when the children were not there. So Fazlullah always kept on broadcasting in the radio, and his men would always say that the schools would be blown up, especially during the nighttime curfew, where people are not allowed to move here and there, and at that time the schools would be blown away. They kept on broadcasting, Fazlullah and his men. Okay, and especially the schools where the girls used to go, that would be blown up by the bomb, and especially during the night time, because that was the time when no student was there in the school. So this is what happened. The first school to be blown up was Shawar Zange, a government girls primary school in Mata. So that was the first school that was blown up, and that was in Mata. That was a government school, and that school was the first one to be blown up. We couldn't believe anyone could do such a thing. So Malala could never believe, and other girls could never believe that such a thing could be done. School blown up by somebody. That was something that was beyond imagination, and Malala had never thought that that would happen. Even her friends did not believe that such a thing could happen. Blowing up a school, a place which would give you education, a place which would really give a pathway to improve your life. That place was blown up by the Talibans. That was something beyond their imagination. They could never ever imagine that that could happen. But still, the school was blown away. And what happened after that? We couldn't believe anyone would do such a thing. Many more bombings followed, almost every day. So after that, many more bombings followed every day. Many more bombings followed every day after that. So maybe the schools were blown up, or some other places were blown up, or people were being killed. Nobody could make out actually what was happening there. But the scenario out there was really dreadful. You can't even imagine a situation of that kind. Okay, we can't imagine, because we've never lived in those kind of places. So we can never imagine such a situation where the bombings or the killings, that was every day, not one day, every day. So despite all these problems, despite all these facts, Malala and her friends still kept on going to school. They did not leave school because they felt it is their right. It is the right to get educated, and since Malala has high dreams, she really wanted to pursue her education. And because of this only, she really fought for the rights of the women education, and for that she even got shot by the Taliban. But still that did not deter her any less. After that, after she got better, after she was cured, she became even or more powerful activist for the education of women, and she has really fought for the rights of children and the education of women. So nothing could stop Malala from fighting for her education and for her rights. So this is what Malala is like. Okay, so Malala actually means somebody who's grief stricken, somebody who's always full of grief and sadness. That is the meaning of Malala. But looking at Malala, we don't see that, because she is always so happy and so positive about life, and she is full of life. She's so vibrant to look at. So she is just the opposite of her name. So Malala is not what her name actually suggests. So she did all these despite all the odds that she was facing in her life. So in this class, I would do only this much, but in my next class, I shall continue with the chapter I Am Malala. So till then, bye bye and take care.